All right, so today let's take a deep dive into something that I'm sure you've all heard of, brain rot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so this has been making waves lately.
Yeah.
And Oxford University Press named it their 2024 Word of the Year,
Wow.
which is interesting. So we've got some sources to dig into today, some articles from TechCrunch,
Okay.
a YouTube video about AI tools that can turn PDFs into, quote-unquote, brain rot.
Oh, interesting.
And, of course, the Oxford University Press announcement itself.
Yeah.
So today we're going to figure out what brain rot even means, why it's suddenly so popular, and maybe what it says about how we're all, living in this digital world.
Yeah, for sure.
So.
Well, and it's interesting. Brain rot isn't even a new term, really.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it goes all the way back to the 1850s.
Wow.
And it appeared in Henry David Thoreau's Walden. Thoreau used it to kind of describe, like, his concern that society was, I don't know, maybe getting too focused on just practical matters.
Yeah.
And losing that appreciation for complex ideas and deeper thinking. And here's the really interesting part, though. Oxford University Press, they found that brain rot usage actually skyrocketed by 230% between 2023 and 2024.
Wow, that's huge.
Yeah. So it seems like Thoreau's worries are kind of echoing even in our digital age today.
So it's not just academics using this term anymore. It's becoming more mainstream.
Yeah.
But what do we even mean by brain rot today?
Well, brain rot now has two distinct meanings.
Okay.
First, it refers to that, low-quality, unchallenging content that we see everywhere online, especially social media.
Oh, yeah.
Think about those...
Like dancing toilets?
Yes, exactly. Skibidi toilet videos.
Yeah.
Those were everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Or even those only in Ohio memes.
Oh, yeah.
Showcasing bizarre events and stuff. It's content that can be entertaining, but you don't really need to think that hard about it.
Right. I was scrolling through TikTok the other day, and I saw this video of someone making a sandwich.
Okay.
Entirely out of colorful candy.
Oh.
It was so bizarre. I watched the whole thing.
Yeah.
And after I was like, what did I even just do for the last 5 minutes?
Right.
So is that brain rot?
That's a perfect example.
Okay.
And that brings us to the second meaning of brain rot.
Oh.
The actual perceived decline in mental sharpness or focus that some people feel after they consume too much of this content.
Yeah.
It's that feeling of your brain turning to mush after, hours of just scrolling.
Yeah.
And it's not just a random feeling. There's actual neuroscience behind it.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Tell me more.
So our brains are kind of wired to seek out novelty and reward.
Okay.
And every time we see something new and exciting, especially on social media, our brain releases dopamine. It's a feel-good neurotransmitter.
Yeah.
And that creates a feedback loop. So the more we scroll and consume, the more dopamine we get.
Okay.
And the more we just crave that dopamine hit.
So social media is hijacking our brain's reward system.
Exactly.
No wonder it's so hard to resist.
Right.
Just the endless scroll. It's it never ends.
And it's really concerning for younger generations, Gen Z and Gen Alpha, who have basically grown up immersed in this digital world. They're not only consuming this brain rot content.
Right.
They're the ones using the term, often self-deprecatingly.
It makes you wonder, are they even aware of the potential downsides of this constant digital stimulation? Or is it just a harmless meme for them?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
What's interesting, though, is this conversation about brain rot has moved into education and technology.
Okay.
We're now seeing these AI tools being made to turn traditional learning materials, those dense PDFs you might have in college?
Oh, yeah.
Into brain rot style videos?
Oh, yeah, the PDF to brain rot tools.
Yeah, exactly.
I read about those.
There's Coconote Study Fetch Memonome.
Yeah.
Some of them even use Gen Z slang and popular meme formats.
Imagine trying to learn about the French Revolution through skibidi toilet animations.
Right.
It's so bizarre, but it's happening.
It is bizarre, but it shows this larger trend of trying to make learning more, palatable.
Right.
For digital natives.
Yeah.
But there are ethical questions, too.
Yeah, for sure.
Some companies are using fake student accounts to promote these tools on TikTok. And then there's concerns about data privacy and the long-term effects of learning through content like this.
It sounds kind of like the Wild West out there.
Yeah, it really is.
But I have to admit, I'm curious about these tools.
Oh, yeah, I get it. I understand.
Yeah.
And in that YouTube video, they explore these tools. And the creator found one that turned a boring PDF about Costco, the store, into a surprisingly good advertisement.
Wait, so brain rot as marketing?
Yeah, it makes you think.
Yeah.
Right? It challenges what we think makes content engaging and persuasive.
Totally.
Like, we often think good learning materials or marketing should be well-structured and informative, but these brain rot tools are flipping that on its head.
Yeah, it's interesting for sure. So we've got these AI tools, turning dry info into like brain rot style videos.
Right.
But does that mean that like all brain rot is bad? I mean, haven't we all had those times where like a silly meme or a funny video actually made us feel better?
Right.
Or even like sparked some random idea?
Yeah, you bring up a good point. The conversation about brain rot is often super negative, but there's another side to it.
Okay.
There's actually more and more research suggesting that, like, even silly activities can have cognitive benefits.
Oh, really?
Yeah. For example, some studies have shown that playing video games,
Okay.
which a lot of people would say is brain rot, can actually improve things like your reaction time, spatial awareness, and even problem-solving skills.
So maybe all those hours I spent playing Minecraft weren't a complete waste.
Yeah, maybe not.
Right.
Of course, everything in moderation. But it's important to, like, acknowledge that our brains crave novelty and playfulness.
Yeah.
And sometimes those mindless activities can give us valuable cognitive stimulation.
It's like our brains need a break from all the serious stuff.
Exactly. We can't always be in deep thinking mode.
Right.
And even like those skibidi toilet videos and only in Ohio memes we talked about, they may seem absurd.
They are pretty absurd.
But they tap into something deeper.
You mean like beyond the dancing toilets and all that?
Yeah, think about it. Like the skibidi toilet videos with the catchy music and the weird animation, they offer a form of escapism. Like a way to disconnect from stress and just enjoy the absurdity.
It's like a digital version of just letting your mind wander.
Exactly. Sometimes we need that mental break to come back to things fresh. And the only in Ohio meme, I mean, it is based on stereotypes.
Yeah.
But it's become a way for people to connect over shared experiences. Of the unexpected and bizarre, it's about finding humor in the mundane and celebrating those quirks of everyday life.
So it's like creating community around the absurd.
Right.
I guess even brain rot can be social.
Exactly.
But I'm curious about the creators of this content.
Yeah.
Like, who are these people making skibidi toilet videos and spreading those only in Ohio memes? What's their motivation?
That's a great question, and there's no simple answer.
Okay.
A lot of these creators are anonymous or use like fake names.
Yeah.
So it's hard to know for sure.
So it's not just like bored teenagers messing around.
Not always. While some might be bored or want attention, others might actually want to entertain or express their creativity or even make a social commentary.
So even brain rot can have deeper meaning.
Yeah, maybe some creators are using humor and absurdity to critique societal norms.
Interesting.
Or start conversations about important issues.
It's funny, we started talking about brain rot leading to less critical thinking.
Right.
But now it seems like maybe it's stimulating our brains in ways we didn't expect.
It's a paradox for sure.
Yeah.
And it shows how complex this whole thing is. We can't just say all brain rot is mindless or bad.
Okay.
We got to be open to the idea that even frivolous content can have value.
I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Okay. But there's one thing we haven't talked about much.
What's that?
Technology's role in all of this. Like, it's the algorithms and platforms feeding us this brain rot content, right?
Absolutely. We can't talk about brain rot without talking about the technology shaping our digital world. These algorithms are designed to keep us engaged. And they do that by feeding us a constant stream of content that's tailored to us.
Like a personalized brain rot buffet.
Exactly.
Curated just for me.
And you keep coming back for more.
Even though I know it's probably not good for me.
Right? That's the hard part. These algorithms are super sophisticated, and they're always evolving to be even more effective at grabbing our attention. They exploit our brain's tendency to look for novelty and reward, creating a feedback loop that's hard to break free from.
It's like a digital tug of war.
Yeah.
And the algorithms are winning.
But it's not hopeless.
Okay, so what can we do? Are we just stuck in this game of digital manipulation?
Not necessarily. While these platforms can be addictive, we can take steps to reclaim our attention.
Okay, I'm listening. Give me the action plan.
Okay, so the first step is awareness.
Okay.
We need to understand how these algorithms work,
Right.
how they influence us, and how they can exploit our weaknesses.
So knowledge is power.
Right. Then once we're aware of the problem,
Okay.
we can set boundaries.
Okay.
like limiting your screen time, turning off notifications, or even deleting certain apps that you just can't resist.
Like digital ground rules.
Exactly. Like setting a curfew for your phone
Yeah.
or a no-scroll zone in your house.
Okay, I like that.
And it's also important to be mindful of your scrolling habits. Like when you find yourself just scrolling mindlessly,
Right.
stop for a second and ask yourself why you're doing it.
Okay.
What are you hoping to get out of it?
Yeah.
Is it actually making you happy, or are you just trying to avoid something else?
That's a good point.
Yeah.
We need to be more intentional about our digital consumption.
Exactly. It's not about giving up technology.
Right.
It's about using it in a way that serves you.
Right. Not the other way around.
Right. And finally, we got to build healthy digital habits.
Oh, okay.
Like we build healthy habits for our physical health. We can do the same for our digital health.
So what does that look like?
It could be scheduling time for offline activities,
Okay.
setting aside time for a digital detox, or just making an effort to engage with content that's nourishing.
Right.
Instead of just mindless and distracting. It's all about balance, using technology in a way that helps you, not hurts you.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's not demonizing technology.
Right.
It's about using it as a tool to make our lives better.
Exactly.
Instead of letting it control us.
It's easier said than done, though.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
These platforms are designed to keep us hooked.
It's definitely a challenge, but it's not impossible.
Okay.
And remember, you're not alone in this. We're all dealing with the challenges of the digital age. And there are resources and communities out there to help us.
That's good to know.
It's easy to feel like you're fighting a losing battle against these tech companies.
Yeah.
But it's empowering to know that others are struggling too,
Right.
and that there's help out there.
Not alone.
Exactly. It reminds us that we have choices.
Yeah.
We can choose how we use technology, and we can reclaim our attention and our well-being.
I like that.
It's a reminder that technology isn't good or bad in itself.
Okay.
It's a tool. And like any tool, it can be used for good or for bad.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
So it's not about rejecting technology altogether.
Right.
It's about being mindful of its impact and making conscious choices about how we use it.
Exactly.
And maybe we can even use technology to help us fight brain rot.
That's interesting. Instead of seeing technology as the enemy, maybe we can use it as an ally in our fight for a healthier mind.
So instead of AI turning PDFs into brain rot videos,
Right.
maybe it can help us filter out the noise,
Yeah.
focus our attention, and engage with content that actually makes our minds better.
It's possible. And as technology keeps changing so fast,
Yeah.
it's really important to have these conversations, to know the risks and the benefits.
Right.
And to make good choices about how technology fits into our lives.
It's about being proactive, not reactive.
Right.
And realizing that we have a responsibility to shape technology's future, to make sure it helps us, not hurts us.
Exactly.
We might not be able to predict the future of brain rot,
Yeah.
but we can help shape that future.
Absolutely.
So we might not be able to predict the future of brain rot,
Right.
but we can be active in shaping it.
Right.
We can choose to engage with technology in a mindful and intentional way.
And we can work together to create a digital world that's more human-centered and fair.
That's definitely something worth working towards.
Yeah.
So, as we've been talking about brain rot and how it affects us, I've been thinking about something that we talked about, the consequences for people and society.
Right.
But what about the ethics of it all?
Oh, that's a great point. That's a really important aspect that we often forget about.
Yeah.
The ethical implications of brain rot are huge, and there's so many layers to it.
Okay.
Like, first off, there's the question of responsibility.
Okay.
Who's actually responsible for, stopping the bad effects of brain rot?
Right.
Is it the people making the content, the platforms that share it,
Yeah.
the algorithms deciding what we see, or is it up to each person to control what they consume?
It's kind of like everyone's involved, right?
It's a tangled web, for sure,
Yeah.
and it's something we need to figure out as a society. And then there's the issue of manipulation. As these algorithms get smarter, they get better at predicting and influencing what we do,
Right.
often without us even knowing it's happening.
That's kind of scary.
It is a little unsettling. It makes you feel like you're losing control over your own mind.
Right. Like being pushed in certain directions without realizing it.
Exactly, and that's the danger.
Yes.
It raises these ethical questions about using technology to manipulate people.
Right.
It's not just the content itself, but how it's presented,
Yeah.
how it's used to grab our attention and change how we see things.
So we can't just focus on the content itself.
Right.
We have to think about the whole system.
Yeah, the forces that shape what we see online and how we interact with it.
And that's where ethics come in.
Exactly. We have to talk about how to make sure these technologies are used for good in a way that benefits everyone, not hurts us.
That's a big challenge, but we can't ignore it.
We can't just pretend this isn't having a big impact on us and society.
Right, and I think education is key here.
Oh, absolutely.
We need to teach people about the good and bad sides of these technologies.
Yeah.
How to use them safely and responsibly.
Right.
And how to be critical of what they see online. Yeah, digital literacy is so important these days.
It really is. We need to give people the tools and knowledge to navigate this digital world and make smart choices about how they use technology.
It's not just knowing how to use technology.
Right.
It's also understanding its impact on society.
Exactly.
Like how it can be used for good or bad, and how to use it in a way that aligns with our values.
It's about empowering people to actively shape the digital world instead of just being passive consumers.
Yeah, and it's about taking control of our digital lives and making sure technology serves us.
Exactly.
As we wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with a final thought. The power of choice.
That's a good one.
These technologies are powerful and influential,
They are.
but we still have the power to choose how we use them.
That's right.
We can be mindful of what we consume. Look for content that feeds our minds.
Yeah.
And use technology to make our lives better, not worse.
It's easy to forget that we have a choice.
Yeah, when faced with all these tech forces.
But we're not helpless bystanders. We have agency. We can make choices that shape our digital experiences and protect ourselves.
So brain rot is a real concern,
It is.
but it's not hopeless.
Oh, not at all.
We have the power to change our habits,
Yeah.
reclaim our attention, and use technology in a way that supports our well-being.
It's about finding that balance where technology helps us without hurting our minds or who we are as humans.
Well said.
Yeah.
So that wraps up our deep dive into brain rot.
I hope this was helpful and interesting.
Yeah, it's a complex topic with no easy answers.
For sure.
But it's a conversation worth having.
Absolutely. And I encourage you to keep thinking about this.
Yeah.
Think about your own relationship with technology and make conscious choices about how you interact with the digital world.
The power is in your hands. Choose wisely, stay curious, and keep those brains sharp.